Let's talk about some things that many companies get wrong about implementing SAP CPQ. I have one topic that's more on the functional side and a couple more related to the project approach more generally. So first of all, it's about the SAP part in SAP CPQ itself. Many companies who are considering SAP CPQ are already an SAP customer, so they have SAP backend, be it ECC or S/4HANA most usually. And then naturally it makes sense to look into SAP CPQ as well. And everybody is assuming, well, correctly so, that SAP CPQ being part of the SAP ecosystem will integrate well, and that is indeed so. But on the other hand, people underestimate the capabilities of SAP CPQ to integrate with the other solutions. And I really want to address this point because many companies are using, for example, Salesforce and are assuming that the SAP CPQ won't really do well integrating with Salesforce, and it just couldn't be further from the truth. If we're talking about Salesforce example in particular, I will take this chance to advertise clarity a little bit. SAP CPQ does have a standard out-of-the-box integration with Salesforce, and it was actually developed by us. So now, if you go into a SAP CPQ help page, navigate to the Salesforce integration part, you will find the guide with our logos in that. So SAP CPQ supports not only SAP integrations, but also third-party in standard, including Salesforce, and generally it is an API-first solution, which means that we have standard APIs for more or less any CPQ integration use case that we encounter in, I would say, 99% of the cases. You are covered for most of the requirements when it comes to integrating the third-party systems. So that's the first one. Moving to the second point, this has to do more with the project approach and particularly with stakeholder management. In some cases, the projects are initiated by business, in other cases, they're initiated by IT. And particularly in the latter case, with IT-led projects, sometimes business stakeholder involvement can be insufficient. It's very important to understand that there are two parties in this project. There is the implementation partner and there is the end user, and it's critical that the end user is involved, is interested, because at the end of the day, it's them who will have to use the system. So at every step of the project, they need to be there and they need to be providing their feedback so that we're sure that the end customer is going to be happy with the result. Some companies expect that everything will be driven by the consultant, and of course this is going to be a guided journey. Of course we're going to help you understand what we're doing here and what are the best practices, but at the end of the day we're implementing your business in the solution, and we need your inputs and your participation. The next point is about how you think of a CPQ project. And I want to invite you not to think of it as just a software implementation, but rather as a digital transformation opportunity. What that means is, in the past, when the companies were using their on-premise systems, the thinking was, how do we take our process and force the system to follow it exactly? And this has been greatly improving in the last years when the businesses started moving and the applications started moving more towards the public cloud solution. The thinking now is, how do we take what the application offers and benefit from it? So I invite you to take this as an opportunity to rethink your business process, because taking a bad process and putting that into the system doesn't just automatically solve your problem. This will help you involve business more, make them actually own the process and own the solution that you are implementing. That will result in better outcomes, happier users, and better adoption. Finally, I want to bring up the project approach that we always recommend, and that's also something that I see more and more popular as an idea in many companies. And the idea is, don't try to implement everything from the first go. So start small and build up on that. Your users, before actually starting using the system, will have difficult time designing requirements for a system they're not familiar with. Start with a small MVP, minimum viable product, get people to use the system, and that will result in much better outcomes. To help with this, Clarity has designed SAP CPQ acceleration packages. And in particular, I want to talk about Essential package, because this is something that absolutely everybody who is implementing SAP CPQ can benefit from. The idea is that this is just a pre-built standard process that you can start working with pretty much from day one. What that gives you is users not trying to design or to take an estimated guess on what would be the requirements that they would like to see in a system they're not very familiar with, but instead you're gaining deep understanding very quickly, and instead of doing this educated guesses, you're actually designing specific deltas that are lacking in the standard solution. This results in faster implementation, better design outcomes, and happier users.